Lungani Sibanda.
So I'm speaking on behalf of DFS Mountmove. I'm a participant of the Mountmove program. And today I'll be interviewing.
Lungani Sibanda.
We'll be talking about personal reflection and wisdom. So my first question for you today would be, can you please tell me a little more about yourself? I know you've said your name, but would you like to say a little more about yourself?
My name is Lungani Sibanda. I've been in Sheffield for, I say, over 30 years.
Wow.
So,
long time.
yeah, way before you were born.
Yes.
I originally, I was born in Zimbabwe, and I've been living here in Sheffield. I am a creative. I'm a filmmaker, photographer, musician, yeah. And a variety of other things. I've been an educator here in Sheffield. I taught at Sheffield College a while back. I have guest lectured at the University of Sheffield, Clarendon College in Nottingham. I've done quite a bit.
So you do a lot of things.
I do a lot. But at the core, I say I'm a chronicler. I say I'm a chronicler in the sense that I'm a writer, I'm a journalist, and you know, the experience is that
That's a really large...
I do a lot of stuff, man. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Were you born in Sheffield or did you move there?
I moved to Sheffield in 1992.
That's how many years ago?
Yeah, so yeah, 1992 I moved to Sheffield, more or less about nearly over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Yeah, over 30 years.
Yeah. So since you moved to Sheffield, what lesson has life taught you since you left Zimbabwe and came here?
One thing that I have learned, you know, since coming to Sheffield is that every part of the world is the same. That we all want a roof over our heads, clothes on our back, and food on our table. Wherever you go.
You know, that's something that the people over there will understand until they come here.
But that's reality. That's a reality. I think one thing I have learned is the fact that we are all pursuing the same thing. It may look different to everyone, but at the core of everything, we just want to strive wherever we are. Some will travel to other parts of the world for that thing. Some will stay at home and wonder why they are where they are. But I think as humankind, we have always been wanderers, trying to find that space where we can fit in. And that's why some of us end up finding ourselves where we are because of that very thing.
Good. Thank you for that response. And so what is one advice you would like to give to the young people out there?
Be curious.
Be curious?
Yeah, I'll say to young people, be curious.
Wow.
Pursue knowledge and wisdom, I mean, in whatever form it comes, because this is the thing. Unless you're willing to ask questions, you will always have assumptions about that thing. I tell my children that, you know, they should ask questions. They should ask me questions. You know, I'm part of that generation where we dared not ask our elders questions. You see what I'm saying? They said children have to be seen and not heard. That was a thing. But the reality is, with your generation, as I'm finding out, is that I think you have to be more bold and more curious. Ask questions. Don't leave it for somebody else to tell you how a thing is. You should do your own research. Because the world is where it's at because out of ignorance, we refuse to open our eyes and question.
Yeah, that's very true, because if you don't ask, you don't know.
You don't know.
You make the wrong decisions.
Exactly.
So what makes the Sheffield feel like home to you?
For me, Sheffield has been home. I think what makes Sheffield home for me is because I became. You know what I'm saying? It's like Sheffield gave me the freedom to be.
inclusive.
Yeah, it's like You know, like sometimes, Michelle Obama's first book, I think, was about, becoming. And then I remember she had this like series of podcasts where she was talking about the whole thing that helps us to become who we become. Because in the journey of life, when we travel through life,
Yeah.
we are not a finished product right now. You know, we're still learning. We may never get to be the thing, like that proverbial thing that many of us, some people say, I want to be a teacher, and then they think once they become a principal at a school, therefore they have reached where they are. But then they are like Ethel, the lady who spoke before, she was talking about being a lifelong learner. Sheffield was that very place where I suddenly realized that there are opportunities to learn. Your name doesn't stop you from being what you want to be. Certain parts of the world, it's like your surname basically means that you can't have certain opportunities. Yes. And I have lived with that. Where I come from, say, oh, you're Ndebele, or you are Shona, or you are this, or you are that. We are very sectarian in a way. You're white, you're black, you're this. You know what I'm saying? But Sheffield somehow has gave me that the ability to be able to look at everybody just as another human being.
So we're all the same.
Yeah, we are all the same. And Sheffield somehow, to a certain extent, has managed to kind of balance that out. I'm not saying that Sheffield doesn't have its own issues, yes, but the reality is Sheffield somehow created an environment where everybody somehow can be who they want to be. And it actually has opportunities and spaces where you can be who you want to be.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
So what are you most proud of in your life?
My boys.
Oh, I hope you're watching this.
Yeah, I am proud of my children because in them, they are a manifestation of an extension of who I am. You know what I'm saying? And when you see your children grow and become these individuals who can navigate the world with a sense of wonder and seeking to know more, to me, that I think that basically cements me like I was here. You know what I mean? That kind of thing? Like I was here, and so my footsteps here are in the form of my children. It could be my grandchildren. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. So my boys, to me, are my greatest achievement. You know what I mean?
That's very good. That's really good. What story of Sheffield have you never forgotten about?
How Sheffield somehow managed to create a space for me. I am one of those few people who, when I first came to Sheffield, I think I was one of five.
You were what?
One of five. There was like a few Zimbabweans here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I could literally name the Zimbabweans I knew in Sheffield when I came. And somehow within that space, Sheffield created so many opportunities. I think because of my curious nature and my unwillingness to shrink. You know what I mean? Like some of us, we enter spaces, we enter rooms, and we think we don't have the right to stand up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let me tell you, there's a community, there are two communities in this world who I admire the most. My brothers and sisters from Nigeria and from Ghana. Simply because when you see a Ghanaian or you see a Nigerian, they are unapologetic in the way that they present themselves. You see what I'm saying? They enter those spaces and they own it. And for me, I love that sense of like, I am who I am. I don't have to apologize.
No need to be scared.
No, you don't have to be scared. You see what I'm saying? And I think that to me, somehow Sheffield has gave me that tenacity to be able to kind of go into spaces and be who I am without apology. And I continue to do that. And I think there is no space in Sheffield that I don't know.
I mean, 30 years of your life.
Yeah, and I know people. One of the things that I was very, very intentional to do when I came here was, because when I tell people that my humans are my, like some people pride themselves with money and stuff. For me, I think the ability to know other humans, to me, is my capital. Sometimes we are afraid to know each other, and as a result, we rob ourselves of the ability to become more. Because if I know you, I will know where you are from. You will tell me about where you grew up, the food you eat. If I'm lucky, you will invite me to your house and we can have food.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that to me is like sometimes we experience worlds through the eyes or through the experiences of others.
Yeah.
We may never reach there, physically, but the conversations we have actually give you like an inkling of, yeah. And so wherever we go, that's why for me, like when I see, like I say, my big brother is Nigerian, and when like he enters space, he's a quiet man, but when he enters space, he says if he's 8 foot. You know what I'm saying?
You know that he's there.
Yes, you know what I'm saying. So when I'm around my Nigerian family, it's like there's this like bigger than life kind of space, and I like that. But Sheffield kind of creates that environment for us to be, and so my story of Sheffield has been that it allowed this because I came in my early 20s, 20-something kid to come and create a life for himself. So it is home. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Wow. What message would you like to leave for the future generations?
I'll say, don't listen to what they tell you.
It's very deep.
I was hearing say to be. There is something in my mother tongue or in my mother tongue. It's like when you translate it, it says, "To be told is to be denied." So, which basically means to be told. He who tells you is denying you. Because there's something to do. I can tell you something, but it's different if I take you. You see what I mean? So I can tell you, I can be eating jollof and say, oh, it's nice. But unless you taste jollof, you'll never know. You see what I'm saying? So I'll say for the future generation is find out for yourself. Yeah, read about it, that's great. But experience it for yourself, because in experiencing, in being part of, there's like certain nuances in the human experience that you don't get just from talking about it. Have conversations with people who don't look like you. Learn a language, a different language than your own. And be open to the fact that you can learn from those you interact with. Never close yourself to knowledge. I did my degree in my 40s and did my master's, my late years. And one day maybe I may do a PhD, simply because don't close yourself to the possibilities of learning. Keep learning as long as you can, and teach at the same time. Maya Angelou said, when you receive, give. When you learn, teach. That's how we have always been as humankind. For us, who are heavily melanated, especially us, the Africans, we have always had a tradition, an oral history tradition, which was about passing information. You know, you pass on information, and we should never stop. Now, I know your generation spends more time on Google and ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff, which is great, but you sit down with your grandparents, they'll tell you something completely different. You sit down with your parents, they'll tell you something different. And now it's like you're now part of the process. And then when you pass it on to your children,
I mean,
you know.
I have lived with my grandmother before, and she always had a story for every
Exactly.
situation.
Exactly.
I'm always like, what? Wow.
But that's what I mean. These are people who didn't write their own books. So, write a book also. Write, document stuff. As much as we vlog and we blog and we do all these wonderful things, they are great. Pick a pen and write. One day that could be a way for somebody to discover something new in what you're reading.
Thank you so much for the response. And I hope the young people out there have listened and will do according to as you have said. But my final question for you would be, not just to the young people, but to the Sheffield in general, what message would you like to pass to them?
Be open. I think Sheffield needs to continue to open itself to the possibilities that people who don't look like the indigenous population, we were here, and we are here, and we are not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere, and I think when people kind of become comfortable with that, you will suddenly realize that we have such a rich tapestry of experience. And I was saying to your brother earlier that, we are awesome. I say, as a people, we are awesome. And it makes you better to know us and be part of what we bring. It's as simple as that. And we don't talk enough about us. See what I'm saying? You are a beautiful young person. See what I'm saying? And if you don't acknowledge that, nobody else will. But you want to be able to enter spaces and meet people and exude that sense of who you are. That's how we impact Sheffield. And I think for Sheffield to become better than it is to embrace the fact that those who are not typically the hue or the skin tone that we think Britain should be. We want to build Sheffield. We want to build this part of the world. We want to enrich. We are bringing a very rich culture, a very rich experience, and we want to kind of infuse it with those we come across and make it better. So, we are awesome.
Remember, you're awesome as a human.
Yes.
And wherever you go, exude that confidence, be bold, and just as a friend has said, be confident wherever you go. I'm sorry, I can't.
It's Lungani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
No, it's my pleasure.
And I'll be with you now. Bye-bye.
Cool.